The pictures are finally out. Jaire Alexander in a Ravens uniform. He had his first practice. Let's talk about it. Now, if you didn't know, if you've been sitting under a rock for this entire offseason and you're trying to just wake up on week 1 of the NFL season, the Ravens play the Bills Sunday Night Football, and you want to just turn on the TV and be surprised by who the Ravens get, don't watch this video. But if you do know about Jaire Alexander, let's talk about how he's playing with the Baltimore Ravens in training camp. Now, this is exciting. There were a lot of big plays that happened. He looked pretty good according to every report that I saw. One of the first things that I want to bring up, because he did have a press conference, Marlon Humphrey also had a press conference today, but Jaire he still got that swagger to him. He was talking about how Lamar Jackson tried to throw a back shoulder ball to DeAndre Hopkins, was incomplete, and Jaire Alexander was like, that's not happening. Like, I'm still me. Like, Jaire Alexander and Lamar Jackson obviously played together in college. They're good friends. Lamar Jackson actually hurdled Jaire Alexander in the 2018 NFL preseason, which it pops up in a lot of Lamar Jackson highlights, which is pretty funny because it is a preseason game. How often do you see preseason game, highlight tapes? But that Jaire hurdle still does pop up for Lamar Jackson's NFL career highlight tape. But when you look at Jaire Alexander and what he brings to this team, the first off is confidence in the secondary. That was one of the issues that we struggled with, right? Brandon Stevens, it felt like he was so close, right? He could never really get to that level. He just, either it was lack of confidence, lack of preparation, whatever it was. It wasn't a lack of skill because he was in the right position. He just wasn't able to make the right plays. Jaire Alexander has that confidence. He's always had that confidence. That's why he's a multiple-time Pro Bowler. That's why he's an all-pro level cornerback when he's healthy. That's why he's seen as one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL, again, when he's had healthy seasons. So Jaire Alexander brings that confidence. We already know Marlon has confidence. Having two starting corners with just Pro Bowl experience is already a massive benefit to the Ravens, but they also have the play to back it up. And then obviously Nate Wiggins, you get to learn from, two great players. And Jaire Alexander relates more in terms of skill set to Nate Wiggins than Marlon Humphrey. Marlon Humphrey's a much more physical player. Jaire Alexander, when he came out, when he first started his NFL career, he was known as this is one of the fastest corners in the league. Like, this guy's a speed demon. Now he's not as fast as Nate. Nate Wiggins is probably the fastest corner in the NFL, but Jaire Alexander did have that speed element to him. Now, he's not as fast as he once was. He's not slow by any means, but it's nice to have that for Nate Wiggins. But now, talking about just play at training camp, one of the biggest things that stood out to me was the reports about Tez Walker and Jaire Alexander. So if you didn't know, Tez Walker, a 4th-round pick for the Baltimore Ravens last year out of North Carolina, he ended up actually beating Jaire Alexander on a deep pass play today. And they ended up running it back, and Jaire ended up getting a PBU. So Jaire and Tez Walker, they start going at each other because Tez Walker, people don't realize this, he's a very confident individual. He didn't get a lot of playing time last year. He was dealing with injuries. He didn't get a lot of playing time his senior year of college at North Carolina because of NCAA regulations where he was questionably suspended and not allowed to play. And then they allowed him to play and he didn't get to play a lot because it was just really weird. But he was Drake May's number 1 wide receiver when he did play. But now the Ravens brought him in and it was like, hey, this guy has the speed, size, ball skills, tracking ability to be a legitimate deep threat in the NFL. And he beats Jaire Alexander, a Pro Bowl level cornerback, in practice. Then Jaire gets the better of him. And apparently, according to reports, they tried to run it up one more time, like they're about to lace up against each other, and they stopped the drill, and they were both very upset about it, which I love from two angles, right? Jaire Alexander is trying to say, hey, young kid, stop trying to mess with me, stop trying to do it, I'm that guy. And Tez Walker not backing down is a huge sign of confidence for the Ravens' young wide receiver, especially when you're looking at it as coming into this season, Tez Walker most likely was expecting to be the wide receiver 3, or at least competing for that wide receiver spot with a Tylan Wallace type. We ended up bringing in DeAndre Hopkins, and it didn't look like Tez Walker would really have an opportunity to be a prominent piece of the offense. Not saying he wouldn't play, but for him to still come out there and he's still trying to show this team hey, this is what I can do. This is what I got. I love to see that confidence in him because we still do need that deep threat. And I think he could be that guy. So I love seeing that confidence, but I also love seeing the vets still trying to go after these rookies because, as we always say, iron sharpens iron. This Ravens defense has always been very good. They got an interception off of Lamar Jackson today. It unfortunately was a ricochet off of Isaiah Likely's hands. I mean, Lamar Jackson was pissed about it because guess what? That's how Lamar Jackson throws picks. He hits them in the hands, they drop it, and then the defense ends up picking it off. He's not very happy about that. He hates it. Ravens fans hate it. And we hate it even more when, the national media starts criticizing Lamar Jackson's interceptions when almost half of them are just like hitting the guy in the chest and they drop it for a pick. So it's very frustrating. We hate to see it, but at the same time, at least the defense is making plays. And I saw a great tweet from JJ Watt talking about how training camp statistics are BS. Nobody actually cares at practice how your training camp statistics are. The only situations that really matter is if you're looking at a kicker battle, which the Ravens kicker battle is a prevalent battle. But in general, these are situational football type plays. I'm a coach myself. A lot of people played sports growing up. They know that when you're playing at practice, you're not just practicing so you can go out there and just dog on your defense. You're working on certain situations. Hey, how do we work our 2-minute drill? How do we work our red zone offense? What do we do if we face cover 3 in this situation? Let's run some plays, try and get different looks, try and work on these players, try and help the receivers out with certain route combinations, trying to help the defense out and recognizing certain route combinations. There's a lot of things to be told. And so just going out there and saying, hey, this guy, was 8 for 15 passing or whatever it is, that doesn't mean anything, right? There was once a practice where I think Jimmy Garoppolo threw 5 consecutive interceptions with the San Francisco 49ers defense. And everyone was like, oh, this guy's horrible. And it was or maybe this San Francisco Niners defense is insanely good. And it turned out they were one of the best defenses of the 21st century that season. Now, were they better than the 2000 Ravens defense? No, not trying to say they were better. Just saying it was a really good defense. But training camp stats don't matter. But it's cool to see interceptions happen for the defense to get a little bit of hype because Trenton Simpson did get an interception. And that's somebody that I talked about yesterday. If you haven't seen the short form content, make sure to check it out. I posted a lot of clips over the last couple of days. So I appreciate you guys checking those out. Those have been performing pretty well so far. So appreciate all the love over on the short form, TikTok, Instagram, and then obviously here on the YouTube channel. But let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts, your opinions on Jaire Alexander, how you think he's going to perform in training camp, how you think he's going to perform throughout the rest of the offseason, and then obviously in the preseason and the start of the NFL season. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe for more, and I'll see all of you again tomorrow.